You don't need 4 AI subscription plans. You probably need 1, maybe 2. If you're already paying for ChatGPT, you might have everything you need. If not, I'll tell you which $20 plan to start with that will get you most of the way there. By the end of this video, you'll know which plan to get, when to upgrade, and why some of the token-based plans might not be the best fit for most. Here's the short answer. There's 3 levels, that's it. If you're starting out and not sure what to get, I would recommend getting the Claude Pro plan for $20. Claude will have better performance for a wider range of tasks. And unless you already have ChatGPT for $20 a month, I would stick with that. And then if you run out of credits on either or, a simple model you can use is just to get the opposite plan. So then the next level would be the $40 plan. So you'll have both ChatGPT plan and Claude Pro plan. And that way, if any provider is down, you can still use the other one. And then there are generous limits from one or the other that you can use if you run out of the other, because they all work in 5-hour windows. So why is $20 enough? If you get one of the other provider and plans from companies that are not building these models, oftentimes you'll get a dumber model or a less state-of-the-art model, which you'll end up having to correct more, making sure that the data and the information they're giving you is accurate. You'll get the best performance. You'll spend less time correcting it, validating their work. And a lot of these frontier models right now, they're providing a lot of subsidy. And so unless you are an enterprise company that needs detailed logging or SSO, you're going to get much more value using the subscription. And then the subscription works in 5-hour windows. And so if you run out of those limits in the 5-hour window, you'll just wait for the next 5-hour window. And then you also have a weekly limits. And then when you run out of the weekly limits, then you can upgrade to the next plan if you really need it. If you don't have a subscription yet, you can start off with the $20 plan to see if it's actually useful and you're using it a lot or not. Over time, if you're actually getting value from it, you'll use it more. And then that will be a good segue whether or not upgrading to level 2 or level 3 actually makes sense. So if you do find yourself extending the limits of it and you do need to upgrade, but you don't want to go all the way there to the $100 plan or the $200 plan, what you can do instead is get the $20 plan from both providers to see if you end up using all of them up. With 2 providers, you give yourself a backup plan if one of them are down, as well as you don't lock yourself in later on as models get better on one provider but not the other provider. Also, both of the providers oftentimes do limit resets, and so sometimes that can extend your $20. But if you don't want to think about it at all, you could also just upgrade to the $100 plan and see if you kind of push the limits of that, and you don't have to think about anything. You just get one plan, one provider, one model, and I highly recommend using the best model at any point in time. You'll reduce the amount of work that you need to do trying to correct or validate what an agent is doing or saying. And you might be wondering when you should choose Anthropic, OpenAI, or some of the other bigger tools that keep coming up like Cursor, Replit, Copilot, or Lovable. And if you're already using those tools and getting value from that, you don't need to change anything. But if you're just starting out and you're a little bit more price sensitive, then the more general purpose tools through Anthropic and OpenAI will allow you to do a lot of what they're already capable of doing, but a fixed price that is more predictable. And if you use Cursor, Replit, or Lovable, oftentimes they're designed with a very specific use case, such as building simple landing page, MVPs, coding applications, and they'll also often use usage or token-based pricing, and that makes it a little bit more difficult to make the value worth it right now because they use the underlying model. Sometimes they'll use a dumber model or a what they call distilled model, and it might end up hallucinating more. You'll find yourself having to fix bugs more often, and they'll charge a premium, a surcharge on the underlying models that you're using through Anthropic or OpenAI. So if you're starting out, you can look at those and consider them. They have some free plans that you might be able to use, but if you don't mind spending $5 a week or $25 a week, a simple meal or drink at a bar, then starting with Anthropic's Claude Pro or OpenAI's ChatGPT Plus will get you there with a fraction of the cost, and you'll be able to use the state-of-the-art models and not have to think about switching and learning new tools as new models come out and new use cases come up that agents and AI get really good at. Another reason why you should probably use Anthropic and OpenAI right now is because they're in a hyper growth phase. They have a lot of VC money and they're trying to get people to use their applications and product a lot more. They're providing a lot of subsidies, and this is not going to last forever. And if you use them now, you get to use them at a fraction of the cost and allow yourself to get good at these tools as they become a staple in our day-to-day professional and personal life. So to recap, if you don't have any subscription yet, here is a high-level plan. If you already use ChatGPT and you're paying $20 a month, continue using that. And if you find yourself reaching limits, then think about upgrading or adding another plan. If you don't have any subscription and you want to see what these tools are capable of, you can start off with the $20 Claude Pro plan. And then in the case that you end up using up all of your usage, you might consider going to level 2, adding 2 plans, paying $40 a month, which in the grand scheme of things is like $10 a week to increase your productivity, see what AI and agents is able to do to help you kind of remove the mental burden of manual. And then finally, if you really find yourself extending both plans and models, you can think about getting the $100 plan. And I would recommend getting the Claude Max $100 plan. It'll be much better at a wider range of tasks, and oftentimes you'll have to steer it less in your intent of what you're looking to accomplish. And so if you are choosing Claude for the first time and you want to know how to set it up and what you can do with it, here's a video on how you can do that. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comment. I'll do my best to answer them and drive any clarity.